So today we are going to discuss how we are going to debug 5xx on a given API. For example, you have an API A XYZ, and this API internally hits google.com/xyz. So this is basically just a wrapper over google.com/xyz, and it's not doing any particular work. Now you get a report or a complaint that this particular API that you own is giving 5xx. So first of all, let's try to remember what 5xx means. It means that there is some server error that is happening. It is not related to the client request, but it is related to some error on the server side. So how will we start debugging this scenario? First of all, we have to know on which server is our code running. So to reach that, what we have to do is we have to find out what is behind this abc.com. How are we going to find it? We are going to find it by nslookup command. nslookup abc.com. Let's try to run this command. Lookup abc.com. Okay. Now it is giving me 4 IPs. Okay. Now we know that which servers or what is the starting point to look to find the servers which are hosting our code serving abc.com. What is the next step? Next step is to find out next step is to find out the chain of the servers which are between IP pointing to abc.com and to the actual server, which is, let's consider this IP. We are going to track this IP to find where our abc.com server is. So we have this IP, our IP. So this is our first IP in the link. First of all, we did nslookup. Then what we have to do is, then we have to find server or ELB hosting this. So most probably it is going to be an ELP's IP. ELP or load balancers IP. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to the cloud provider. Let's assume that our cloud provider is AWS. So we are going to go to AWS. Then we are going to go to EC2. EC2 is Elastic Cloud Compute or computation service provided by AWS. Then in that EC2, we are going to go to the option network interfaces. Okay. Then we are going to go to network interfaces, and from there we are going to search this IP. We are going to search this IP 13.35.131.56. Here it is going to tell me whether this points to an ELB or directly to an instance. This helps us finding the source from where our journey starts. So let's assume that this searching this IP in the network interfaces gives us basically an ELB. So what we are going to do next is we are going to find what are the instances behind the ELB. Okay. Now we know how are we going to find that? We are going to find that by searching the ELB which was returned by the network interfaces in AWS panel, and we are going to go to the ELB interfaces and are trying to find that ELB. Now we can check what are the listeners or instances attached to the ELB. This has been covered in a video on AWS components. Once we know these servers, let's say that what we have to do is we have to find logs for these servers. How are we going to find logs for these servers? There are two methods. First is central logging system. We are going to go to our central logging system and we are going to find logs for this service which is running on these servers. So Once we know which service is running for these servers, we are going to go to our central logging system, which can be an ELK or any other central logging system. There are many central logging systems present in the industry, but one of the most popular, ELK. Another option is, let's say that it is a small company and central logging system is not present. Then what we are going to do is we are going to take access to this particular instance or any of the instance which is giving 5xx. So let's say this IP is 10.1.1.1. You can see that this is a public IP. This is a public IP because it doesn't belong to the private subnet that we have discussed earlier. It doesn't belong to the private subnet, whereas these are private IPs, 10.0.0, 170.168, like that. So what we are going to do is we have to log into this server 10.0.1.1.1. We are going to SSH to this server. And then what we are going to do is we are going to find which process is running. So what we are going to do is we have to check on which port. So ELB is taking traffic to port 80. We are hitting on port 80 for abc.com. So let me redraw it here. So this is ELB. We are hitting on this ELB on port 80. And this ELB is going to send traffic to a particular port of the instances. Okay, so let's assume that ELB is sending traffic to port 81 of this server and port 81 of this server. Okay, so what is our next job? Our next job is to SSH to this server and find out what is running on port 81 on this server. How are we going to do that? We are going to run the command netstat -alntp grep :port 80. Why I have given :port 80, not just 80, is because there can be IPs in which word 80 can be there. So let's see what is running on port 80 on my system. Netstat -alntp grep 80. Let's just do 80 first so that you can know what is the importance of. So you can see 80 is let me make my screen bigger. So you can see 80 is coming in the IP addresses also, like here. Okay, and 80 is coming here also. So this means that my system, this is my local and this is my remote. So my system, which is this, is connecting to this IP on port 80. So we have to find out which service is running on port 80 on our system. You can see it here. What does this mean? This means that something is running on my port 80, but it is not showing here. Why? It is not showing here because to find the process IDs of the process IDs for which a particular port is listening, we have to give sudo. So we are going to do sudo netstat -alntp grep 80. Okay, now we know this. We come to know that Apache is running on port Apache is running on port 80 and its process ID is 2812. So now we know what is running on port 81 or port 80. Let's say 81, and we know that Nginx or Apache is also a web server, is running with the process ID 123, let's say. So now we have an idea what is running on port 81 on this server and what is its process ID. Now, debugging an application differs from application to application. So what we are going to do is we are going to find logs for this Apache application. They can be found from Apache configuration. So generally what happens is during configuration or config software, we give the path where Apache or any other software should save its logs. Generally, logs are saved in var log xyz, or what they are saved in this directory. Okay, they can be found in var log, and if it is not present, then we have to take a longer route of finding the files, or finding the log files, or finding the files in which Apache is present, but that is something for another day. Now let's assume that it is present here. Okay, our log files are present here. Now we grab through the log files. Like what we're going to do is let's say that my apache.logs are in var log file. Let's say if they are present there, ls var log apache2. Okay, they are present here. So it is saying that permission is denied. So what we are going to do is sudo ls var log or sudo var log apache2. Okay, sorry, sudo ls. So it is giving me access.log, different log files are there. So let's try hitting localhost. Let's try to grab through the logs first. Grab, or let's try to see the logs first. Grab access.log. Okay. So these are empty files. Let's try hitting localhost 80/xyz. So it is giving me 404 not found, and let's try to see whether we get something in this. Now we can see that we are getting xyz in the file. Earlier when we checked, we were not getting anything. Now we are seeing that localhost on port 80 on which my Apache was running, localhost port 80 xyz 404 not found, and this can be found here. Okay, so this is how we are going to check. Let's suppose that there was some connectivity issues between your server. Let's say there was some connectivity issue between your server and google.com to which you're proxy passing. So our diagram is going to be ELB. Traffic is going to land on ELB. It is going to come to your server on port 81. It is coming on here on port 80, and here Apache is running, and it is calling google.com. This is google.com. So let's say that our server is not able to connect to google.com due to any reason. What can be the reasons? One of the reason is that google.com has some security policy denying traffic from our server. One of the possibilities that inbound for google.com is restricted. This is called inbound. Inbound for google.com server is restricted. Another possibility is that while configuring our servers, our DevOps or infrastructure team has created security rules for our instances such that outbound for our instance, this is outbound traffic for our instance is restricted, that we cannot hit google.com outbound from our servers. That can be one of the reasons. Okay, there can be other reasons also, but these are the two main reasons, that either you are not allowed to send traffic to your server, or either google.com is denying traffic coming from your server. Okay, so how are we going to check connectivity from your server to google.com? What we are going to do is we are going to use telnet command. Telnet google.com port 80. Telnet google.com port 80. So it is saying that it is not able to connect. It is able to connect. Okay, since it is saying that, uh, escape character is this, that means it is able to connect. So we have ruled out that there is no connectivity issue. We are able to connect from here to here. Okay, that is how we are going to debug. So next step is going to next step what we are going to do is we are going to call this API from our server. How are we going to do is curl google.com. Okay, let's see what we get. So this API is taking some time. So it is giving me response. This is the response. Now we want to see a more verbose output. How are we going to do that? What we are going to do is curl -b google.com. Okay, so it is going to give me extra meta information corresponding to the given request. So you can see that this is the request that is going. It is saying that this is something which we can ignore right now. It says that connected to google.com on port 80. Then it is the request. This is the request type of request. This is a get request, and this is the version of the HTTP that curl has selected. These are the headers. Headers are basically extra pieces of meta information that you can send with a request. They are basically key and values. So this is the key, host is the key, value is google.com, user agent is the key, and value is curl. It shows that we are calling this API via curl. If you're going to call your API via browser, it is going to give different user agent, and accept is some other header. There are multiple headers. And what is the response? This is saying that this is the type request HTTP version that was used. This is the HTTP status code, and this is the corresponding HTTP status code text, and these are respective response headers. So these were the request headers and these were the response headers. So during debugging scenarios, there can be multiple cases in which, rather than sending sensitive data in request body or in the request, you will be sending those sensitive data in request headers. So let me share some example. So for example, there are scenarios in which two servers want to communicate. Server 1 and server 2 wants to communicate. What they can do is there are 3-4 portions for a request. So request consists of, in request there is URI which is being hit. Another portion is request headers. And another portion is body. And another portion is query params. And for response, there is body, there is the response headers, and there is response code, HTTP response code. Okay, so these are the important parts of a request. So let's say that when you were debugging, what you encountered was, rather than curl giving you a proper response, it can give you an error code also. Let's say that XYZ. Let's try to hit this and see what this gives. So it is saying that what do we get? Yes, you can see that here we got an error code. This is HTTP 404 not found. This means that the server did not find anything corresponding to this URI. This is the URI, this is the domain that was hit. So it is saying that 404 not found. So this is the error. So for example, when our API was hitting, google.com/xyz, this was returning, this is Google, this was returning 404. That's why our server was giving some error. So for example, if an Apache 404 was not handled properly, for example, the developer did not handle the google.com API returning 404, then in that case there can be a Java exception or any other exception which could lead to our API returning 5xx, or that can be in specific 501, 502, 503 up till 509, any one of the 599, any one of the probable use cases. But generally there are what I have seen till now is generally we use first 500 to 504 are the most common ones. These are very less frequently used. So that is how we are going to debug a production 5xx.